Hello and welcome. I am Raghav and welcome to this complete course on Terraform. In this course, I will go very basic, step by step, and we will learn everything from scratch. I will start by what is IAC or infrastructure as code. We will learn what is IAC, why do we need it. Then we will learn what is Terraform, and we will also see a basic process workflow of Terraform. And then we will go to Terraform installation, and here I will show you how do we install Terraform on Windows, on Mac and on Linux. So you can follow this tutorial on any operating system, and I will tell you step by step all the instructions to install Terraform. And then we will start by creating a Terraform project. We will create a project folder and then we will add the required files, and then we will see what is the configuration file in Terraform, and we will create a configuration file. We will then create the details in the configuration file. We will add the instructions, and this is exactly the code that we will be using to create our infrastructure. So we will decide on our provider. Now here in Terraform we can decide on different platforms like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, or whatever platform we want to use to create our infrastructure, and all this we will mention in our configuration file. And then we will also mention the infrastructure details in our configuration file. Then we will run terraform init command, which will initialize a working directory in our project. Then we will see what is Terraform plan and how do we run it and what does it do. We will then see what is terraform apply command, and this command will actually create our infrastructure as we have mentioned in our configuration file. And then we will see terraform show, what is this command and how do we use it. And then we will run terraform destroy, which can delete or remove our resources or infrastructure. Now this is going to be very easy and very interesting. This will create a very good foundation for Terraform, and after this I will also show you some very interesting concepts. We will learn how do we use modules in Terraform, how do we create variables and use variables, how can we use in output values in Terraform, and then how can we use the environments and workspaces in Terraform. So all this is going to be very interesting, and I will start from very scratch. So if you are a complete beginner, you have never learned Terraform, you never know anything about infrastructure as code, do not worry, we will start from scratch and go up step by step, and you can follow this on Windows, Mac or Linux operating systems, and you can do hands-on along with me. Whenever you face any issues, you can let me know in the comment section and I will reply to you. And you will also find all the notes in the description, and I will also keep timestamps in the description of this video so that if you have to jump to any topic you can do that. And I will keep a link for the quiz, so you can also take the quiz after learning Terraform. So let's get started and let us start our learning journey of Terraform. Let us first start with what is IAC or infrastructure as code. Okay, now let's say you want to set up some infrastructure like some virtual machines or databases or any servers on some cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, etc. Now one way is you will manually log in to these platforms using your system. You will manually log into the platforms, and then you will go to the page where you will add all the details and you will select all the resources required for setting up your infrastructure, and then you will create the infrastructure. Okay, so this is the normal manual process of creating the infrastructure as per the needs of our project. Now another way to do this is we can also write all our infrastructure needs in a file which can be called as a configuration file, and then we can run this file using some IAC tool or infrastructure as code tool like Terraform, and that will take care of all the provisioning of our machines, databases, and setting up the entire infrastructure we need for our project. So here we will write all our requirements in a configuration file. We will use a IAC tool like Terraform to run the configuration file, and that will create our infrastructure. Okay, so this is what is called as infrastructure as code. we write our infrastructure requirements. And when we say infrastructure, it can be anything like virtual machines, servers, databases, virtual private clouds, anything that you need for your project. We can all write it in a infrastructure file and then use a infrastructure as code tool like Terraform and run it, and we will have all our details, all our infrastructure ready on our platforms. Okay, so here in IAC we can manage all our infrastructure using configuration files rather than doing all this manually, rather than logging into the platforms like AWS, Azure, GCP, and then setting up everything ourselves. We can do this through an IAC tool, and IAC tools also help us to build, change and manage our infrastructure in a very safe, consistent and repeatable way. So we can repeat it, we can use multiple platforms, providers, and we can do all we want to do with our infrastructure using the code. Okay, let us see a very simple workflow of IAC. So here we first select our infrastructure platform, and in general terms we also call it as provider. It can be something like AWS or Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, etc. Then we get all our infrastructure requirements, and then we write the requirements in a configuration file. For example, if we are using Terraform, we have a particular way to write the configuration in a configuration file, and then we will write it there. So this is like a code we write for our infrastructure, and then we run the configuration file or the code that will create the infrastructure on the provider or the infrastructure platform. Okay, so whatever we have written in the configuration file, according to this, our machines, DBs, VPCs, whatever we need will be set up. Now we will check if what is created is as per our needs, and then if it is not, we will again go to the step of where we will review our requirements and do all these steps again from here, and if it satisfies our needs, then we will continue with our project and then use it for our project. And then whenever new requirements arise, we will again go to the step of writing our requirements in the configuration file as code and do all these steps again. Okay, so this is a very simple workflow of IAC. Okay, so we have completed what is IAC. Let us now go to the second topic, what is Terraform. Okay, now Terraform we know is a IAC tool, and this tool helps us to define all our infrastructure requirements or resources in a human readable configuration file. So the configuration file we have for Terraform is human readable, as well as we can use the same file for running to create our infrastructure, and it is open source tool. It also has a commercial version, but we are going to focus on the open source IAC Terraform tool. And in this we can set up and manage all our infrastructure needs by writing the code in our configuration file, and we can set up virtual machines or whatever we need, DBs, servers, etc. on any cloud platform like AWS, Azure and Docker, Google Cloud Platform, etc. And the list of providers for Terraform is huge, so you can think of any provider and you can check. You will find it must be having option to work with Terraform. And then the configuration files that we have in Terraform are human readable, and there we can describe the desired state of our infrastructure. In a moment when we will write the configuration file, you will understand and know what is meant here. And then Terraform uses a language called HCL or HashiCorp configuration language to define our infrastructure in the configuration file. So once we create the file, you will see how we do it. So it will be very easy, very interesting when we start writing the configuration file and then setting up our infrastructure using the Terraform tool. Okay, if we look at a very simple Terraform workflow, we install Terraform on our operating system, whether it is Windows, Mac, Linux, etc. Then we write the configuration files. Then we go to the init step where we run the command terraform init, and this basically prepares a working directory for Terraform. It also reads our configuration file where we have provided the information about the provider we want to use, that is the infrastructure platform we want to use, and accordingly it will also download the necessary provider plugins. Then the next step will be to run Terraform plan. Here this command will check our configuration file and then review it and see what all changes will happen on the platform, what all new resources will be created or deleted or updated, and it will show us the complete plan. It will not make any changes on the platform, it will not create any infrastructure, but show us all that it will all the impact it will have once we apply these changes, and we can review it. And then finally when we run terraform apply, it will apply the changes or create the infrastructure as mentioned in the configuration file. And then finally when we want to remove the infrastructure, we can run terraform destroy. So this is a very simple Terraform workflow. Okay, so this was in very simple terms what is Terraform. Let us now start by installing Terraform, and here I will show you how to install Terraform on Windows, on Mac and on Linux. Now just in case you are using, let's say, Windows, you will follow the steps for installing Terraform on Windows, and if you want to skip the steps for Mac or Linux, you can do that. You will find timestamps in the description of the video, but I will cover all the operating systems so that it will help everyone. So let us start with installing Terraform on Windows. Okay, so I have my Windows system here, and here I can go to my computer and see I have around 6.4 GB space on my C drive and 6.6 GB space on my D drive, which should be enough for Terraform. So here step number 1 is we will go to the Terraform installation page, that is from HashiCorp, and then from there we will download the Terraform zip file. So I will go to my browser and you can just say Terraform download, and it will take you to this page that is from HashiCorp developer. Go here, and here you can see we have got all these operating systems: Linux, Windows, Mac OS. So you can select. So here I will go to Windows, and then here for Windows you can see we have got a binary download, and we have got two versions, that is 386 here and AMD 64 here. Now here you can check your operating system and your processor. So if you go to your, let's say, my computer or this PC, do a right click and go to properties. Here it will take you to this about section about your operating system, and if you see here device specification system type, in my case it is 64-bit operating system. So here I will get this 64-bit version. In your case, if you have the same thing, you can get this, which will be the general case for most Windows operating system, but just in case you have an older 86 or 32-bit or x86 processor, you can download this one. So I will download this one, and it is getting downloaded, and this will download as a zip file which we can unzip and keep at any location on our system. So if I now go to my downloads folder, yes, you can see I have got this Terraform zip file downloaded. Okay, so we have done step number 2. Step number 3 is we have downloaded the zip file, we have done step number 3. Step number 4 is we can extract and keep this folder at any location on our system. So I will, let's say I will go to my D drive and I will create a new folder and call it Terraform. Okay, so it is not necessary, you can just keep this at any location in any folder. You can unzip this file and keep anywhere. So I will unzip this file. I will do a right click and say extract all, and here I'm going to browse to my D drive and Terraform folder, and this is where I will keep my Terraform file. So I will say extract, and you can see it has extracted here in this folder D Terraform. Okay, so we have got this terraform.exe file here. Okay, now an important step is the location of this folder. Wherever we have our terraform.exe file, we have to add this location in the path environment variable. So this is the folder location. I can copy this. In my case it is D Terraform, and then I will go to the environment variables. So I am pressing the Windows key and I am typing environment, so it gives me the option to edit system environment variables. I will go here, and then we have got environment variables here. So you can go to system properties also directly and then go to environment variables, and here we have two sections. We have the environment variables for the current user. So in my case I am the administrator on the system, so these are the environment variables for the user, and then these are the environment variables for the system. So whatever changes I do here will be applicable for the entire system for all the users. Now you can go to the path environment variable for your user or for the system. In case you have permission to edit the system environment variables, you can do it here. Otherwise you can always do it for your user. So in my case I will go to here, system variables, search for path environment variable and click on edit. So it opens this window, and here I will add the folder location where my terraform.exe file is. So I will click on new and I will add this folder here. Now make sure that you do not change or delete anything which is already existing. We just have to add a new line or a new entry in the path environment variable. Now just in case, in very old Windows operating systems, this path environment variable, the values are not shown as a list here like we can see here, but in a single text box. In that case, whatever is there already in the text box of the path environment variable, do not change it. Just go at the end, give a semicolon and add the location of the folder of your Terraform exe file and then save it. So make sure do not make any changes. So in this case I have added it here and say OK, OK and OK. Okay, now we will verify using commands if we have got Terraform installed on our system. So open a new command line. Here remember, in case any of your existing command line is open, you will have to open a new one because we have done changes in the environment variable. So you will have to open a new one and then only it will show those changes. And here I will run the command terraform, and you can see I am getting the results here. So here when I run terraform, it shows me all the commands. We have the main commands and then all these other commands as well. And here whenever you want, you can run this command terraform or terraform-h or terraform-help. This will show you all the commands we can use with Terraform. So you can see init, valid, plan, apply, destroy, all this we will learn, and there are a lot of other commands as well. We will see these. And then if you want to check details about a specific command, let's say I want to check what is plan command, so I will say terraform plan and -h or -help, and this will show me all the information about terraform plan command and all the options I can use with this command. So you can see the following command the following options. You can see these options, and here is this command generates a execution plan showing what actions Terraform would take to apply the current configuration, and then these are all the flags or options we can use with this command. So you can remember this during our learning journey of Terraform. Whenever you want to see the commands or whenever you want to check the details of a specific command, you can always do it like this from the command line. Okay, so we have done this. You can also say terraform-v or terraform version, terraform version, that will show us the version of Terraform, and then Terraform help we have already seen. So this is how you can install Terraform on Windows. Okay, now moving to how to install Terraform on Mac operating system. Okay, so here for Mac we have two options. We can directly install using Homebrew, or we can install using binary files. Now also there may be some changes if you have the Mac with the Intel chip or Mac with the Apple M1 M2 chip. I will show you all the details. So here let us see how do we install Terraform on Mac operating system using Homebrew. So here again we will go to the, if I say Terraform download, I will again go to the website here. Let me show this in a light mode. Yeah, so here again we are on the same link of downloading and installing Terraform. This is the link. Okay, here we have options for all these operating systems, so I will select Mac OS, and here we have the details. So here if we have Homebrew, we just have to run these two commands, brew tap hashicop -tap, and then this command to install Terraform. Otherwise, if we do not have Homebrew or we don't want to use Homebrew, we can use the binary download. Now again here, if you are using the Intel chip, then you can use this. You can download this AMD 64. You can always just go here on your Mac operating system and say about this Mac, and you will see here we have got the chip here. So if it is Apple M2, then you will take this ARM 64 version. If it is Intel chip, then you will take the AMD 64 version. So for now let us focus on the options we have, the steps we can do by using Homebrew. So we have already done all these steps. We have gone to this website. Now we will open terminal and check Homebrew is installed by running these commands, brew -- version or which brew, and then if it is there we can say brew update. So I will go to my terminal. Now here I am on my Mac. I have to go to Spotlight. So if you go to the top, you will see this search button which is for Spotlight, and when you click this it will open this Spotlight search. Otherwise you can press command and space on your keyboard to bring this Spotlight search, and here I will start typing terminal and hit enter to open the terminal app. Okay, so this is my terminal here. Now here we will first check if brew is there on my system. I will say brew -- version and check if brew is there, and yes, I get this brew version. If I say which brew, also I get this location. So this means Homebrew is there. But in case we do not have brew installed, so we can go to the terminal and run this command. And in fact, if you go to a Homebrew website, you will get this link. So for installing Homebrew, we just have to run this link. So if I run this, it will install Homebrew on the system. So in my case, you can see this is here. This is the command you will run, and this will take care of downloading and installing Homebrew on your system. Based on your network and internet speed, it can take some time, and if Homebrew is already there, it will update Homebrew to the latest version. So now if I run the command, I will clear the screen and I will press the up arrow to go to the earlier commands, and if I say brew version, I have got this homebrew version. Okay, now to install Terraform using the commands, you can run these commands and you can directly get it from this Terraform website. So this is the first command, brew tap HashiCorp /tap. I will run this and you can see this has come here, and then the next command to install Terraform. So this will take care of everything, download and install Terraform for your Mac operating system. Okay, and then you can see here I can clear, and if I say Terraform, or you can see all the commands, the same output that we got on Windows, we can see all the commands of Terraform. Or if I say Terraform version or Terraform -v, I will get the version of Terraform. If I say Terraform -help, I will again see all the commands, and if I have to check a particular command, let's say I will check what is the apply command, I will say Terraform apply -h or -help, and this will give me all the details about the Terraform apply command along with all the options we can use with this. Okay, so this is how we can install Terraform on Mac OS using Homebrew. Now the next thing, if you do not want to use Homebrew, or you do not have Homebrew and you want to use you want to install Terraform using the binary files, then we will have to download the binary files for your Mac OS. And as I have shown you that if you are using Mac with Intel chip, you will download this AMD 64 version. If you have the Apple M1 M2 chip, then you will download this ARM 64 version. So I have Apple M1 M2 chip, I will download this one, and this will download as a zip file. So I will download and save it on my downloads folder. So it is downloaded, and next step is I will extract the zip file to any location on my system, and then I have to add the location of that folder in my path environment variable. So first let me check my downloads folder, and yes, here it is, and here is my Terraform zip file. I will have to keep it extract it in some location. Let me just extract it here on my desktop. I am creating a new folder. Okay, I will name it as Terraform. Okay, and I will extract this to this folder. I will extract Terraform here, or let me just take it inside this folder. Okay, and here I have got this Terraform and this license. So this is my application file and this is a license. Okay, in case you want, I can directly take this folder out on my system here, on my desktop here, so I can directly use this folder and put it in my path environment variables. Okay, so this is the important step of adding the location in the path environment variable. Now here, to do this, we have got two options. First option is we will move our Terraform folder to a location which is already set in the path environment variable. So let us say if I go to my terminal and I say echo $path, and you can see all these folders are already present in my path environment variable. So I can go to any of the folder like user local bin, I will go to my folders and I will press Command Shift and G key on the keyboard. This is Command Shift and G to go to any location. I will give this user local and bin, and I will go here and I can just drag and drop this folder here. Okay, so that will do the work. I do not have to make any new changes. I do not have to do anything else. It will go to this folder, and then this folder location is already in the path environment variables, and I am done. So this can be a very easy and straightforward option. The other option is we can manually add path to our path environment variable, path of our Terraform binary file to the path environment variable. So for this, if we have to move, if we have to set the location of our folder to the path environment variable, let us see the steps. Okay, so here we have already seen this can be a very straightforward way that we move the folder, this folder where we have the Terraform binary file, to one of the folders which are already set in the path environment variable. Okay, and then we can verify using all these commands. So this I have already shown you. Now the other way is manually setting the path. So here go to the terminal, and now here we have to add this folder in the .bash profile if you are using old Mac, or .zshrc file if you are using the new Mac. So this is our bash, and here we set our environment variables. Now starting from macOS Monterey, Apple has switched the default shell from bash to ZSH, and if you want to check what is your default shell, you can say echo $shell. So if I say echo $shell, in my case it is .zsh. So all the paths that I have to set in a file called, I will say open, the file name is .zshrc. If I press tab, it should autocomplete, and you can see this is the file where all the environment variables are set. Okay, now you can also say export path equals $path, and then also add the location of this folder, which will also do it, but it will have the impact only for the session of this terminal. Once we exit from the terminal, that changes will be lost. So to make it permanent, we have to add the path, we have to add the location, and update the path environment variable in this file. And if your shell is bash, then you will have to do all the changes in the file called .bash profile. Okay, so if you get, for this particular command, if you get the result as bin zsh, then your default shell is zsh, also called as the z shell, and you can add all the environment variables in this file .zshrc. And then in case your default shell is bash, you will have to make all the changes in a file called .bash profile. Okay, so if that is the case, you just have to use this .bash profile file, and all the commands I'm going to show you now, you just have to replace .zshrc with .bash profile. Okay, and the reason I'm showing you all these steps, I'm not skipping anything, is because so that you know everything, how to do it manually, how to manually update these things. So if you want to use it for any other task on your Mac operating system, for setting up environment variables, for any other thing, you can follow this. Okay, so now assuming that our default shell is Z shell and we have to make changes in .zshrc file, we will open the terminal and open .zshrc file. And I have already shown you, if you have bash profile, the only change you will do in all the commands I am showing you is change .zshrc to .bash profile. Okay, so I will say, let me clear this, and I will say open .zshrc, and we have got this here. And here if this does not work, you can also run this command touch and this file. So it will create a new file, and then if this file does not already exist, it will create a new file, and then you can make the changes there. Okay, now to edit the file, we have these options. If you are able to open it using the open command and it opens manually here, it opens physically here in this file, then it's good, you can just make changes here. Otherwise you can also make the changes within the terminal by first checking the file. So you can see it shows me the contents of the file, and then I can say vi and the file name, and it opens the file in a vi editor. I will press I to go to the insert mode, and now you can see I can make any changes here. So let us say I make some change. So this is a demo change, and I will now, to save and come out, I will press escape on my keyboard, then say colon WQ, that is write and quit, and then I will add a exclamation mark here and press enter. And now if I say cat shrc, you can see the change is done here. Okay, so we can do this through the vi editor, and these are all the steps that I just showed you. We can do it like this. Otherwise we can just go to the, so this we have already seen. Okay, otherwise we can manually add this path. So make sure that you do not make any changes to the existing path, and for that we say export path equals $path. That means whatever is already there in the path environment variable will come here, and then give a colon, and then say the add the path of the Terraform binary folder. So I will say here, I already have the file open, so I will say here I can just copy this export path equals $path, and then the location of my this folder where I have Terraform binary file. If I press command I can copy the location from here, and then I can add it here like this. Okay, save it. Okay, I will have to because I made the changes from the command line, I will have to do it again. I will say here export path, or just let me copy this part and get the location of this folder, and yes, save and close it. And now you can exit from the terminal, open a new terminal, and then say, first I can just check I have got this here, and then I can say Terraform version, and all the Terraform commands should work now. Okay, so this is how you can set up on Mac operating system. Okay, now we have done all this. Now coming to how do we install Terraform on Linux operating system. Now for this we can have different steps for different distributions of Linux. So here if I go to the Terraform site here where we can go to the installation page and go to Linux, so here you can see we have all these different distributions. We have Ubuntu, Debian, CentOS, RHEL, Fedora, Amazon Linux, Homebrew. So all these options are here. If you have homebrew on your Linux system, you can directly use the homebrew commands, and if you want to check for your specific Linux, you can check all this here. So the first step is you will connect to your Linux machine. Now here I have a AWS account and I have this AWS Linux machine running. I can try to connect to this machine and check and see the steps. Now in case you also want to use AWS Linux, I have this session that I recorded earlier, how to create AWS Linux and connect from Windows or Mac OS. So I will have this session here. You can also check how to create AWS Linux and connect from Windows or Mac, and if you search by my name you should get that session. And yes, this is, you can check this. If you want to just try it out, and then I will go on my terminal and I will say ssh-i, and I will have to use the pm file, which is this one, and then the details of my Linux machine, and I will connect. And yes, you can see it is connected. And yes, I'm on my Amazon Linux system. Okay, so here once you connect to your Linux machine, if you already have your Linux system, you can connect to that and then go to the Terraform installation page, and then you can select the Linux operating system. So here, as I have shown you, you can just go to this Linux here and select your Linux operating system. And I am on Amazon Linux, so I will just go here, and then we have to use the corresponding commands. So I will copy this command and run on my Linux machine. So this is all latest and updated, so it is already there. Okay, so this is also added, and then we will say sudo yum -y install terraform, and I think it is already here, so I can check by using the terraform command. I will say terraform version and terraform -h. So all this is working fine. So this is how you can install on Linux. Okay, so I'm showing you one example with Amazon Linux. If you are using any other distribution of Linux, you can check the commands here. Okay, and let me know if you face any issues. So we have done with installation of Terraform on Linux. So we have completed the part of installing Terraform, and now we will go to creating a project. Now from here, once you have installed Terraform, the rest of the steps, the rest of the process is going to be the same on all the operating system, whether you are using Windows, Mac, Linux or anything. So now it is all inside Terraform, and we will create a Terraform project. So I will do all the next steps on one operating system, and you can follow along with me on whatever machine or system or operating system you are using. And if there are any changes, I will let you know, and if you face any issues, you can also let me know in the comment section. So let us start by creating a Terraform project. Okay, so here step number 1 is we will create a folder for our project. So here I am on my Windows system, and as I said, you can follow this on any operating system. I will go to, let us say, on my D drive. Let me go to this Terraform folder itself and create a new folder for projects. And you can create this anywhere, and inside this I will create another folder. I will create a new folder. I will say this is Terraform demo 1, You can name it anything. Okay, now for the further steps, we will be creating configuration file and we will be adding some details in the configuration file, and for that you can just continue and you can use any text editor like Notepad, Notepad++, Sublime Text, or any text editor that you have on your operating system. You can use that, or you can use an IDE like VS Code. Now if you use an IDE, it can be a little more easier and cleaner. We will also have some tools for formatting and maintaining the structure of the project, so that can help. So it's your wish. If you just want to continue with any text editor, it's okay, and then we can run the commands from the command line or terminal. Otherwise, if you are okay by using an IDE, you can go for VS Code. So I will show this by using VS Code, and for that I am going to download VS Code. I will go to the VS Code download website here, and I'm on Windows. So here we have got the installer, and then you can also get the zip file. So I will get for my 64-bit Windows operating system. So getting the zip file can help by keeping it separate. You will not install it on your system. It will, everything will be available in a folder. So it is now here downloaded, and I will unzip it and keep at any location on my system. So let's say I will go to my D drive and create a folder and call it VS Code, and this is where I will extract my VS Code zip folder. If you want to download a executable file and run the installer, or if you want to download the installer, here you can see this. You can just download the installer. We have user installer or system installer, and then run the installer. It will install VS Code on your system. That is also fine, but I will just use this zip file. I will extract it in this location, D VS Code, and say extract. So you can see if I go to this VS Code folder, I am getting this all extracted here. Okay, and in case you are using any other IDE, if you are already using it and you want to continue there, that is also fine. It's just that I will show you how to create the project, the files, the project structure, and you can follow the same thing on any IDE, or even if you do not use an IDE, even then it is fine. So do not worry that you have to use VS Code. It's all on you. It's just that it will help us to keep a structure and help us with some extra tools. That's all it will do for now. So don't worry on the IDE or anything else. Okay, so we have got this extracted. Also I have this. If you just want to continue with VS Code, you can go on my website, that is automationstepbystep.com, and here if you scroll down and go to the IDEs and editors, I have this link for Visual Studio Code, and here I have explained, I have some videos on the very basics, what is VS Code and how do we you can learn VS Code in 7 steps on Windows and Mac. So you can watch this session, it will be very useful. You can get the basics. In case you want to use VS Code and you are completely new, that will be helpful, just optional. Okay, so we have got VS Code, and then you can, if you have installed it using an installer, you can directly start it on your system. Otherwise, if you have used the zip file, you can go to the folder where you have unzipped, and you will find this code.exe. Double click and open VS Code. So this will start VS Code on our system. Okay, so we have got it here. Now here, the folder we have created for our Terraform project, I can go to File and Open Folder and go to the folder, so which is in my Terraform projects. In this, I can select the folder, or the other way is I can also directly drag and drop the folder here. So if I go to my folder, which is here, this one, I can drag and drop it here. So both the ways will work. and I will say yes, I trust this folder, and we have got the folder here. Okay, now inside this folder we will create a file, a configuration file, and we will name it main.tf. so this will be our configuration file, and it is not necessary to name it main.tf. you can name it anything else as well, but this is a general practice to name it main.tf. I will go to my project folder and create a new file. You can also, I'm creating a text document and I will name it as main.tf. You can do it directly on VS Code as well. I will say yes, and here you can see when I see it on my VS Code, it is here, and it has also taken this icon of Terraform. So that means VS Code has some extensions. So if you go to this extensions section, you can see a lot of extensions, and if you search for Terraform, you can see some extensions of Terraform, and I think some are by default added, and that is the reason we are able to see this icon for Terraform. Now do not worry if you are using if you are not using the IDE or you are using any other IDE. I'm not going to install any other extension or anything. It's just a plain file for now with a .tf extension. Okay, so you can continue with that. So if you do not want to use the IDE, you can directly open this file in a notepad or any editor, and you can make the changes that we will do now. Alright, so we have done this. Step number 3 we have done, and this is our Terraform configuration file. So these are the steps to create a project and create a configuration file, and you can do it using you can do it on a IDE, or you can do it plain without using any IDE. So it's all up to you. So we have done this section and topic, create a project. Now we will go to the next topic where we will create the configuration file and add the details. We have already created the file, that is main.tf. so here we have done step number 1, and as I told you, it is not mandatory to call it as main.tf, but it is a general and common convention to name it main.tf. and here when we will go further in the steps, we will also create some more Terraform files, but for now it is our main configuration file. Okay, so this is what we have done, and now we have to add the details in our config file. The first thing we have to add is to add the provider details. Now provider in Terraform is the platform, is the infrastructure platform where we will create the infrastructure. Okay, and you can get a list of Terraform providers on this link. So if you just go to if you search for Terraform providers, it will take you to this link. Yes, this is the link where you can see all these providers, and you can also see all the filters here. So AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, Kubernetes, Oracle, Cloud Infrastructure. There are so many, and you can in fact find everything here. So as you can see, there are so many providers are here. Okay, so you can check here, and this here also you can find the same thing, I believe. Yeah, this link which I have on in the notes, this will take you to this link, this page where you can see all these providers. Okay, so we can select our provider. Now AWS is a very common provider, and then we also have Azure, Google Cloud Platform, Kubernetes, Docker, etc. So here we are assuming that the provider we are going to use is AWS, and I will show you the examples with AWS. In case you are already using some other platform and you want to check what to do with that platform, how to add the provider details in the configuration file of Terraform, you can go to this link, which is the providers documentation. So if you search for Terraform provider Terraform providers. I think you will get it here, and go to, let's say, go to AWS. Okay, here, so this is for AWS, and if you go to here, this link, which is registry.terraform.io namespaces HashiCorp, you can see any other provider. You can view all the providers here, and let us say I will go to Azure and then go to the documentation here, and you can see all the details about the provider, and you can see all the topics are here. Anything that you want to do with the provider, you can see the example configuration and everything here. So just in case you are using any other provider, you already are using some platform, you can check that and you can change the provider details accordingly. Okay, and then in main.tf we will provide a block for the provider. Now in this case I will try with AWS, and in case you do not have a specific, you do not already have a provider and you want to just use any provider, you can create an AWS account. So let me first show you. So I will come back to this. Let us first see the steps to create an AWS account. This is just in case you want to use AWS. So you can go to here, you can go to the AWS sign up page. So if I go to this browser, AWS sign up, you can create a free account with AWS. So click on create a free account, and here you can give your email, you can select an account name and then verify your address, email address, and then you will have some other steps for creating the account. You will have to give some more information, and in case it asks you for the payment options, credit card details, etc., you can give that if it is mandatory. However, you will not get charged unless you go over the free tier limits. Okay, so we will keep inside the free tier limit so that we don't get charged. So you can create the account, and these are all the steps to create the AWS account. In case you do not already have it and you do not have any other provider, you can create a AWS account. Okay, now coming back to our provider configuration, if I again go back to the documentation, I will say Terraform provider AWS, and here I go to the documentation, and you can see here this is how we can give the details of our provider in our configuration file. We say provider AWS, we select the region, we give the access key and the secret key. So this is exactly what we will do. I can copy this from here and go to the main.tf file and paste it here. Okay, now do not worry about the access key and secret key, I will tell you how to get this. Okay, so this is what we have done, and let me take the region as US East 1 itself. Okay, now once you create your account, AWS account, when you go to services and go to EC2, when you go to your dashboard and go to the EC2 services and go to instances, here you can find all the instances that you have created. So in my case, this is my earlier account, I have some instances here, and then here you can see all these regions, US East 1, US East 2, US West 1. So I'm using US East 1, so this is what I will give here in the region, and access key and secret key I will tell you in a moment. So we have done this, we have also seen this. Okay, so as of now we have added this block, provider block. Now in Terraform you can give this within the main.tf file, or if you want you can also create a separate file called providers.tf, and give all the provider details, the connection details, and the name of the providers there. In some Terraform projects, it may happen that we are using multiple providers. In that case, having a separate provider file will work and can be easier and useful. Otherwise, we can just continue in our main.tf file. Okay, so this is all fine for now. Okay, also you can see as of now we have used only this part. If you want, we can also have this part where we can give the versions. We can say what are the required providers. We can give all the providers here. It can be one or more, and then we can give the source, HashiCorp, AWS, the version, and the required version of Terraform is more than 1.2.0. This we can give. Otherwise, even this is fine for now. Okay, if you don't want to specify the versions and all, this is okay. Okay, so this is what we have given. Okay, now to authenticate the account, the provider account, we will have to set up the credentials. Now in this case we are using AWS, so we have to give our access key and secret key, and for that, setting up the security credentials on AWS, log into your AWS account and go to identity and access management. So if you go to your AWS account, and at the top you can find services, and here you can also search here. If you search for IAM, you will get this manage access to AWS resources. Go here, and here go to users. Under access management you will find users. Go here, and here if you already have an existing user, that's fine. I can create a new user, so go to create user, and I will say username Terraform demo user. You can name it anything. Okay, and if you want to provide a user access to AWS management console, you can also check this, and I will just say next. Okay, so here we have got permission options, add to user group, copy permissions, or attach policy directly. So here you can select the permissions or attach the permissions. So this is all optional. For now I will say next, and here we have got all these details. This is the username. Okay, and these are the permission summary. As of now we have not given any permissions to this user, and then if you want to add any tags to the user, you can do that. For now I will just create the user, and you can see the user is created here. Okay, so we have done all these steps. Okay, now we have to add permission to the user. So here I will go to the user, I will click on the user, and I will go here to the permissions and say add permission, and I will say attach policy directly. If the user is in a group, you can say add user to group and then copy permissions of an existing user as well, but I will say attach policies directly, and I will say EC2 full access, which is this one. So this you have to you can check what permissions do you need for the user. Basically what things you want to make the user do through Terraform, you can accordingly select. And even if you're working in projects, you can check with your project teams what permissions you need, or you can check with your network team as well. For now I am saying Amazon EC2 full access, and say next, and I will say add permission. Okay, so the permission is added. Now we have to get the access key and secret key. For this we can go to the security credentials tab. So if you go to security credentials, it's here, and here we have got option to create access key. So I will say create access key, and here you can see all the options are here. Here we can select the use case. So if you want, you can select the use case or just say next. I will have to select, let us say third party service. I will check this and say next, and here description tag value. So I can say here Terraform demo and say create access key, and we can see we have got our access key and the secret key. Okay, so we can get it from here and then give it to our main.tf file. So I will copy this access key and give it here, and then I will copy the secret key from here and give it here. Okay, and it's okay, do not worry that I'm exposing all these credentials. This is a test account, and anyways after the demo I can delete the user and the access as well, so it's all safe. Also, in case you are learning Terraform just for your own learning, please use your own test accounts. You can create a test account on AWS or any other provider that you want and use those accounts if you are using it for your project. Do not use your project accounts, do not use your personal accounts, so always create some test accounts. Okay, so here we have got this, and we have already created the access key and secret key, and then we can give it in our configuration file that we have already done. Okay, so make sure that you save your configuration file. Okay, so we have done this. We have decided our provider, that is AWS, and we have added the provider block in our configuration file. Okay, now we have done step number 4. Now step number 5 is we will run the command terraform validate in the folder that is containing our configuration file. And here, if you are not using an IDE like VS Code, you can go to your command line or terminal and navigate to the folder of your Terraform project, or change the working directory to your Terraform project. So in my case, this is my folder of Terraform project. So I will go here, I can say cd space and the path of my project folder, but I am on my project folder is on D drive. So if I see here, it is on D drive and my command line is on C drive. So I will first change it to D drive. I will say D : enter, and then I will say cd space and the location of my project folder, and now I can run all these commands: terraform, validate, init, etc. Now here, if you are using VS Code, a good thing here is we can open the terminal within the IDE and we can run the commands there. So you will find there is a menu called terminal here. You can go here and say new terminal. You can also press Control and backtick key on your keyboard. The backtick key is the key just below the escape key on the top left corner of your keyboard. You can press that Control and the backtick key and it will open terminal, and if you press it again it will close the terminal, or you can just go from here and say new terminal, and you can see here the terminal opens. And if you see here, it opens on the same project folder. So I do not have to make any changes to the location. Okay, I can run all the commands here, and if I have to change the font, I will check here. I will go to settings and I will say font. So let us say terminal font. Yes, so it has changed the font of the terminal. I hope it is easier for you to view now. Also, this font also you can change, so you can again go to settings, and if you search for font, you can see this font is in the text editor. So here also, if you want to change the settings from here, you can do it, or this should work fine. Okay, now the command we want to run is terraform validate. However, we have created a new configuration file. It is a new project, so before we run this command, we will have to run command terraform init. So let me show you. If I run this command terraform validate, what it shows, it says missing required provider, and that is because unless we run terraform init for a new configuration file, we will not get the plugins for the provider we are using. So when we run terraform init, it will check the provider we are using, and accordingly it will download the plugins for that provider. And then when we say terraform validate, it will check all the provider plugins are there, and then all the formatting, everything is correct. So that is why first we will have to run terraform init. The same thing, if I run from here, I can show you terraform validate. You can see the same things are, same message we are getting here. Okay, now terraform validate command is a command that checks and verify the configuration. It also checks that the providers we are using, we have got all the plugins and everything is there. We can also use flags like terraform validate JSON to produce a JSON output, but we will run this command after we run terraform init. Okay, okay, this thing that as of now, if you see here, we have given our credentials directly in our configuration file. So generally we should not do that. We should not hard code our credentials and do not give it in the configuration file. We can have variables, and then we can store the credentials separately and access them through variables, which I will show you in the later part. But otherwise, if you want to check here the options that we have for credential management, you can go here to this link, and here you can see the details of credentials. So you can see the different ways we can access the credentials. We can put it in the environments and the other ways, but I will show you the options how do we create variables later on. Okay, okay, we can also run terraform providers to see a list of providers, but for now the first thing I will have to do is let me first run terraform init. Although we have a section to run terraform init later, but to run terraform validate, we will first have to do it. In case it is a new project, in case it is a new configuration, then we will have to first run terraform init once, and then we can use the other commands. So here I will run this. I will clear the terminal and say terraform init. So you can see it is getting the provider plugins, and also once we do this, you can see it has created a .terraform folder where we can see our providers, and then we also have this log file is here. So we can now run and check. So you can see Terraform has been successfully initialized. Okay, we can now start working with Terraform, and if I now run the command terraform, I will say terraform validate. So this will now check, and now it says it is a valid configuration. Okay, now the next thing is we will add the infrastructure details in our configuration file. So here, now based on what you want to do, for example, if you want to create a virtual machine, or if you want to create a database, if you want to set up some private cloud, or set up some server, based on whatever we want to do, we can get the code, we can get the configuration, and then we can set it up in our configuration file. And we can also see some examples here in this link. So if I go here on this link, so you can see here we have got the details. So we have already seen, we have already given the provider, and now here we have different options. So if you want to set up, let us say we want to create a EC2 instance. So if I go to my Amazon AWS account, if I go to, let us say EC2, which is virtual servers, and if I go to launch instance, here I can select the operating system, Amazon Linux, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, and all this I can select, and I can create a infrastructure here. Okay, so for that, let me go here, Or if I just search for Terraform documentation for AWS, here you should find this Terraform documentation. And yes, if I go here, intro to Terraform, and then get started, here is AWS, and here I can go to this build infrastructure. So this is the link, you can just get it from here directly as well. And here you will find the code that we can use for creating a virtual machine. So this is the code, you can see this is what we can use to create a virtual machine on AWS, and this is what I will use. Okay, so here in the same file I will go to the next line and copy and paste this, and here, so you can see this is what we are doing. All this here is the HashiCorp configuration language or AWS. Here we have blocks for everything. So this is the provider block, this is the resource block where we are creating a resource. Here we are saying create a resource, and we are saying it AWS instance and giving it a name app server, or let me call it as my first instance, or my first VM, virtual machine, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, now here we have to give the Amazon machine image here, and then give the instance type. So this is what I will show you here. When we go to launch instances, so I can go to instances from here, I can say I can launch from here also. I can go to launch instances, and then you can see here, if I select Amazon Linux, then here if I select this, we have different Amazon Linux images. I select this one, and from here I can get this AMI. I can get the AMI ID, which is this one. So this is for this particular Amazon Linux, which is a free tier eligible. So make sure that if you are just using it for testing, take the free tier eligible AMI, so that you don't get any cost for this. So I will copy this, and this is what I will give here in the AMI. So you can take it from your account, whatever you get the AMI ID, you can take it from there. Instance type, this is what we take it from here. So instance type, so whether you want to make it T2 micro, T2 nano, T2 small, so this is based on the number of CPUs, memory, etc. So as you will go up, you can find more CPUs, more memory, but we want to keep it within the free tier, so we will say T2 micro. So this is what we are saying here, T2 micro. And then tags is optional. So for now, let us not give the tags, and we will give the tags later. Okay, so let us just use this, save it. Okay, and so as I have told you earlier, if it is a new configuration, we will have to run terraform init first, and after that we will say terraform validate. We have already ran an terraform init earlier, so let me just try to make sure you save your file, and now I will say terraform validate, and here it says some issue, a name must start with a letter or underscore. Okay, there was a space here, and which is good. Now we can also see that it is working, the command. So now I will say terraform validate, and yeah, everything is fine. Also we have a command called terraform format or fmt. If I run this, it will check the formatting of all the terraform files. So let's say I give some space here, and now I save it and run the command terraform format, and you can see it has corrected that the formatting here. Okay, so you can also check this command, and this is what we have now. If you see our main.tf file here, this is what we have. We have the provider details with the region, access key and secret key. Then we have the resource details with the Amazon machine ID and the instance type, and then let me also give the tags. So the tags are, if we give the tags, you will see the tags here. So if I go to any of the machines, you can see we have got the tags here. Okay, so as of now the tag which I have for this existing machine is name, and this is the name value I have given, which is shown here. So let us try the same thing. I can say tags, or I can directly copy it from here as well. So let me just copy this tags part as well and give it here, and I will call it as my first VM. Okay, and I can again run the command terraform format and also terraform validate. I'm pressing the up arrow to go to the earlier commands and directly run them. Okay, so everything is fine. So we are able to create our configuration. Now this is the same configuration, if you see, just that we have added some more values, fields here. So if you want to add a key name, that is the SSH key pair which is used to connect to the machine, we can do that. If you want to add subnet ID, we can do that. So all this you can see when if you try to create a virtual machine or a Amazon instance manually, you will see all these details. So first we select the operating system or the Amazon machine ID, then we select the instance type, then we have the key pair login. So this is what it is talking about. We can create a key pair for connecting, then we have all these settings. So all that we can do, and you can, in the documentation you can find all this. So adding key name, subnet, net, etc. So all this we can do, but for now we are keeping it very simple for now. Okay, so we have done step number 1, step number 2, we have also done step number 3, and all this we have done. And we have seen this command as well, terraform format, for formatting the TF files, and also we can add the recursive flag with it. This we have already seen. Okay, and all this we are doing in the configuration file. The syntax we are using is HashiCorp configuration language, and as you see it is human readable and also machine readable also as well. Okay, we have different blocks for everything. This is resource block, this is provider block, so this is HCL language. Okay, so we have done the 7th topic. We have added the infrastructure details in our config file, and now next we will run terraform init, and we have already ran it once because we wanted to set up our providers and everything. So we have done that, but let us see some details about this command. So we have already ran this command, and this command will download the necessary provider plugins. It will also set the working directory for Terraform in our project folder, and this is the first command that you should run after writing a new Terraform configuration file, or after getting a new project, creating a new project. And you can also run this command multiple times in your project lifecycle. So do not worry if you have run it once and if you cannot do it another time, you can run it multiple times as well. Okay, so this we have already done. So we have done this particular step. Now let us go to next topic and next step, which is running Terraform plan. Okay, so let us see. We will run Terraform plan and see what happens. I'm going to my terminal and I will say Terraform plan and hit enter. So let's see what happens now. So you can see it is giving us, I am pressing this button to expand terminal, and you can see this command is showing us the complete plan or the actions that Terraform will perform in case we apply this configuration. So you can see here it is showing all the details. Whatever you see plus with the green color, that means it is going to create that particular resource, or whatever it is going to create it. If you see a minus, that is, it means it is going to delete or remove it. So here you can see all the details. It is going to add 1, change 0, destroy 0. Okay, we can also use the out option with this command to save this in a file, which I will show you later, but this is what it will do. And one more thing that you will find here is here you can see all these symbols as well, which I have already told you. So plus is for create. Okay, and here we have already seen, we have already got this .terraform folder created when we ran terraform init. So all this is fine for now. Okay, so we have ran this plan and we have seen all the changes it will do. Okay, so it generates a plan which is, you can say, a dry run without actually applying the changes, and we can see all the changes that will happen when we do terraform apply. So we can check this, we can review, and we can see if all thing is correct, everything is correct. And we can use a out option with this command, and we can store it in a file. Let's say we can say terraform plan and say -out equals my plan. So I can say something like, I can say terraform plan, and I can say -out equals any file name, let's say my plan. So what this will do is, it will create a plan file and it will put all that in that file. It will put all the plan in that file. So if I run this again, you will see a my plan file is created, and you can open it, or let me try to export it in a txt. So you can say terraform show my plan and also put it in a txt file. So if I now say terraform show my plan, so you can see it is showing this all the plan. And if I say terraform show my plan and also put it in a txt file, okay, and you will see this txt file is created here with all the details. If you want, you can go to your project folder, and this is the txt file, and you can see everything has come here. Okay, so the advantage here is we can export the plan or the planned changes in a file, and then we can review it. We can also share it with others and get the feedback before applying the actual changes. Okay, and then we can also use the same file that we have exported using terraform plan. We can use the same file while we do terraform apply next, that we will see next, but this is just for information so that you remember that we can also use this with terraform apply. Okay, now here this will help. Suppose we are using it in a automation or CI/CD pipeline. In that case, we can do this. We can run terraform plan and get the file, and then we can review it, we can share it with others and get the feedback, and when it is finalized, we can inject it in our CI/CD pipeline and then use it directly with the terraform apply command. So that can be very useful. Alright, so we have done terraform plan. Next is, we will finally apply the changes using terraform apply. So here we will run the command terraform apply. So let us do that. I will say terraform apply and hit enter. And now you can see here, if you see here, this is the same thing that we saw when we ran terraform apply. So it is again showing us all the changes it will do, and then it is asking us for a confirmation. Do you want to proceed? And if you say yes, it will proceed. So let me say yes and hit enter, and you can see it is creating the virtual machine. So it will take some time to create, and if you go to your AWS account and if I refresh the instances, you will see it is coming here. So this is my first VM is getting created here. As of now it is in pending status because it is getting created, and then it will start running. So as of now it is still creating, and now it is created. If I again refresh, here you can see it is now running in running status. If I go to the tags, we can see the tags are also added here. Okay, so this is the Amazon Linux instance with the Linux operating system, and we are able to create our first virtual machine using Terraform. Okay, now we have already done these steps. We have checked the infrastructure is created. Okay, now if I make some changes in the configuration file, so let us say I change this, let us say the tag name, I will say my first Linux VM, and now I will save it. And if I now run this again, I can run the Terraform plan again and then Terraform apply, or I can directly say Terraform apply. So it will also show us the changes and ask us for a confirmation before making any changes on the platform. So here we can see the changes. So these are the changes it will may do, and these are shown with this sign here. Okay, this is what it will show with this symbol if there is any update. And now if I say yes and hit enter, so if I now refresh here, you can see the changes have come here. Okay, and I can go and see the tags are changed here. Okay, we can also run the commands terraform refresh to get the current state from our provider. We already have seen Terraform plan, and then we can also use the auto approve flag with Terraform apply, which will skip the approval step. Okay, so as of now it asked me for if I want to proceed, but this will get skipped if I say auto approve, and this can be helpful in automation scenarios in CI/CD pipelines, because there we don't want to have a manual step of doing confirmation. In that case we can use this flag. Okay, and then we can also say we can, if we have any variables, we will learn about variables later, but in case we want to provide a value to a variable along with doing Terraform apply, we can also do this by using the -var flag. We can say -var equals the variable name equals to its value. So we will learn about this later, how to use variables, but this is how we can do the Terraform apply. Also, at any point, if you want to see the commands and their usage, you can say terraform help or terraform, and you will see a list of all the commands, and then you can select any command. Let us say I will say terraform apply, so you can say terraform apply -h, and this will give you all the details of the command along with all the options you can use. So here you can see auto approve flag will skip the interactive approval of plan before applying, so we can do all this. So whenever you are in doubt, please check the command and its usage. Alright, so with this we are able to set up our very first infrastructure with Terraform, and now we will go to the next step, which is we can run Terraform show. So here when we say Terraform show, so once we have created our infrastructure, to see everything is created as required, we can go to our platform, the provider platform like AWS in this case, and then we can go and check everything is created, or we can also check it directly from our project or from our terminal or command line using the command terraform show. So here if I say terraform show and hit enter, so you can see here it gives us all the details. So here we can see this is the resource that got created, this is the AMI and all the details, the region and all its details are here. So you can see in a single screen you can see all the details about that infrastructure or resource. Okay, we can also output in a JSON format by using the -JSON flag, and here you can use this command to inspect the current state of your infrastructure, and it shows you the latest snapshot. Now here you will also see that once we have created all this process of creating the infrastructure, we have got this terraform.tf state file. So you can see it gives us the current state of all our infrastructure that we have created, and when we run terraform show, this is the file it refers. We also have a backup file for this, so we will learn more about this later, but for now this is what this command will do. Okay, and I have already shown you at any moment you can run terraform help to see all the terraform commands, and if you want to check a particular command you can use the command like terraform show and then say -h or -help to see all the details along with all the options of that command. Okay, and about the tf state file, so this is the file in your project which stores the state of your infrastructure or the resources created and managed by Terraform. Okay, so an analogy or an example is that suppose you are building a house using Lego blocks, and you can say that each block represents some resource like virtual machine, database, network, server. So Terraform state is like a blueprint that keeps track of which Lego blocks you have used and how they fit together. Okay, so if you see this tf state, it will give you all the details of your resources, infrastructure, what all Terraform has done until now. Everything you will find here. Okay, so it is like a blueprint of your Terraform infrastructure. Okay, you can also use Terraform state command with some options to perform some basic modifications of the state. So if you want, you can say, I can say terraform state -h, and you can see this command has subcommands for advanced state management, like you can say terraform state list, move, pull, push, replace, show, etc. Okay, so this is for general information, and with this we have also completed terraform show. Now if we have to remove the resources which are created using Terraform, we can directly just say terraform destroy. So it will remove the infrastructure which is managed by Terraform. It will not touch anything else on your provider or on your infrastructure platform. So let us try this. So as of now we have our infrastructure up and running. So this is what is created by Terraform. I will say terraform destroy and hit enter. I think it is okay. I will have to say here destroy. There is a typo, and hit enter. So here you can see it is showing us everything that will get deleted, and it is showing us with this minus symbol in red, all that will get removed. And here, because we have not specified anything, it is going to remove everything that we have created using Terraform apply. Okay, and it is actually an alias for Terraform apply destroy, which I will show you in a moment. I will say yes. So it is asking us for confirmation. I will say yes, and it is now destroying the infrastructure. If I now go and check, so it will take some time to destroy. If I now refresh my AWS instances page, you can see it is now shutting down. So it will first shut down and then terminate it. Okay, so it is still destroying. It can take almost 30 to 40 seconds to complete the process. Yes, so you see it is destroyed. If I now refresh, and yes, you can see this is now terminated, and after some time it will also be disappearing from this list. So as of now it is terminated. Alright, So this is what we have done with Terraform destroy. And here if I now say, you can check your provider like I have done here to check manually if it is done, or I can also run the command. I will clear and press the up arrow to go to the earlier commands. I will run terraform show, and this will show you the current state, and you can see there are no resources which are represented here. The state file is empty. Okay, now as I was saying, this is just an alias for terraform apply -destroy command. So basically we are using -destroy with the terraform apply command. Okay, and we can also run terraform plan destroy to see what effects the destroy command will make, although whenever we run terraform destroy, it also asks us for a confirmation. It shows us all that which will get removed and then asks us for a confirmation. Okay, and then we can also use some specific target for destroying and not destroying everything, so we can also use it with the target option. Okay, so with this we have completed terraform destroy as well, and with this we have completed the basic foundation of Terraform. We now know what is infrastructure as code, what is Terraform, we know how to install Terraform, how to create a Terraform project, how to add the configuration file. In the configuration file, how do we add the provider details, then how do we add the infrastructure details, the resources. Then we have seen all the different commands: terraform init, terraform validate, terraform plan, terraform apply, terraform show, and then terraform destroy. So we are now good with the very strong foundation of Terraform. Now the next steps will be, we will learn about Terraform variables, and now it is going to get very interesting. We will see how exactly we can use variables and how we can use the files variables.tf and terraform.tfvars. Then we will see how to use output in Terraform. So here we will see how we can create some output values, output variables, and show some output values, and how we can use outputs.tf file. Then we will learn how to use Terraform modules. So as of now we have created a very basic project with Terraform, but in general in projects we have different modules. So how do we create different modules in Terraform project? Then we will see how do we manage multiple environments using folders or modules in Terraform, and then how do we manage the environments using workspaces. So here we will learn what are Terraform workspaces, how do we create and manage workspaces, and using workspaces we can manage environments or any other thing that we want to do. So this will be very interesting when we learn about Terraform workspaces. And then finally we will see what is a structure of a Terraform project and the different components of a Terraform project. Okay, so with this let's get started with our very first topic on Terraform variables. Okay, so here in Terraform we can use variables to reuse the values in the Terraform configuration file, and also it will be very useful if you do not want to expose any values directly in the configuration file. We want to use variables and then give the values from a separate file. Even then it will be very useful, and it also helps us to make the changes easier. Suppose we are using a value at multiple places in our configuration files, we can create a variable and get the value at all the places from that one variable, and whenever we want to change it we have to change it at one location. So it will be very easy to manage and very efficient as well. Okay, so here let's just say we will create a variable called instance type. Okay, so I will go here to my main.tf file. Okay, and I will create a block for variables. So I will say variable, and let us say I will say instance type, and then this is the block. Here I will say I can give a description, type, and the default value. So the description I will say instance type for AWS resources or resources. Okay, and then type, I can say this is string, and then we have to give a default value. Now in case you do not give a default value, it will check for the value at a different file, which I will tell you in a moment, but for now let me say this is t2 micro. Okay, and now I can use this variable called instance type wherever I have to use this value t2.micro, which is here in this resource block instance type. So here in this field I will say var, instead of hard coding this value I will say var dot and the variable name, which is instance type. Okay, and make sure that you have the right formatting. So I can run the command terraform format or terraform fmt, and it will correct the formatting. If you want, you can also say terraform validate to check all the syntax and everything is correct in the project, so everything is fine. Okay, so now we can define and declare the variables within the main.tf file, or we can also do this separately in a variables.tf file. Okay, so let's do that. So you can see as of now I have already defined this here, which is okay, because if you're not using any values which are like credentials or some secret things which you do not want to expose, you can have it here. But a good practice and a better way to manage the project and an efficient way will be to create a separate file called variables.tf. So we will create a separate file and put this block there. So I will say, I will go here, I can create a file directly from here, or I can manually go to the folder and create a file. I am creating it here. I am saying I will have to create it within the project folder. Okay, so let me see, I will say variables dot tf, and yes, it has come here. And this block I'm going to cut from here and paste it here. Make sure that you save everything, all the files, and if I want I can run terraform validate and terraform format commands again. So you can see if I have any formatting mistakes here, I will save this and run terraform format, and it will correct the formatting mistakes as well. Okay, okay, if I have something like spaces and tabs, it will take care itself. If I miss this, let's say this closing bracket, and then I run the command terraform format, in that case it will tell me that in this particular file there is no closing brace. So I will have to manually then add it and then run the command again and check. Okay, so now we have done this. Now the next thing is we can also create a file called terraform.tfvars and then separate the values separately. So what I'm going to do is I will create another file. I will name it as terraform.tfvars, and now here I'm going to give the values separately. So I will show you this in a moment. Let me first show you this. I have the default value here, or let me show this with access key and secret key, which is also a valid use case. We don't want to expose our credentials in our configuration, so I will create a block in the variables.tf file for access key and secret key. Okay, I will say this is access key, and I will call it as description is access key for AWS, and I'm not going to give any default value here. And then I will say this is variable secret key, which is secret key for AWS account. Again, it is of type string, and I am not going to give any default value here. Okay, now so I have given these variables, and I am not giving the values here, but I will go to the file terraform.tfvars, and this is where I will give the values. So I will say access key, so make sure that the variable name is exactly the same that we have given here, and I will say equals to and give the value of the actual value of access key, and similarly I will say secret key and say equals and the value of secret key, which I will now get it from here. So this is my access key, and this is the secret key. Okay, now I will save this, and in my main.tf I am going to remove this, and I will say var dot access key. So get it from a variable called access key, and this I will say var dot secret key. Okay, save it. Now here if you see, we are using three variables: var dot access key, var dot secret key, and var dot instance type. Now when we run, it will check for the description of these variables in the variables.tf file, and then the values it will first check in terraform.tfvars file. So if it gets the values from here, it will use them. In case it does not find the value, for example for this particular variable instance type, it did not find the value here, it will fall back to variables.tf file, and then it will check for the default value mentioned here. So here if you want to mention some default values, you can use that. It will first take the values from here. Only if it does not find the values here, it will use the default values which are here. Okay, so this is what we have mentioned here. So if no values are provided in this tfvars file, it will fall back to variables.tf. Now let us run and check if everything is working fine. So unless we run, we are not sure we have done everything correctly. Let me just run terraform validate. Okay, there is some issue, invalid multi-line string here in this variables secret key. Let me open it and check. Okay, I think I forgot to close the quotes here. So it can be useful if you run these commands: terraform format and validate. Yes, everything is fine. So I will run terraform apply, and it is going to create the instance again. I will say yes, and it will start creating, and I will manually go and check on my AWS account, and you can see it is getting created here. Okay, my first Linux VM, and that means our variables are working fine. It is able to get the access key and secret key, and then it is also able to get the instance type, and you can see the instance type is T2 micro. Now here if you remember, we have discussed while learning about terraform apply command that we can also give the value of the variables directly from the command. So if I show you terraform apply and go to help, so let me see if it is mentioned here. We can give the variables. I think it's not mentioned here, but we can say terraform apply, and I can say -var equals, and I can give the key and value of the variable that we want to use. So let's say I can say here instance type equals, and I can change it, let's say T2 medium or T2 large. I can use it here. Okay, so this will override the values that we have given in our variables or tfvars file. So you can see it will change T2 micro to T2 medium, and if I say yes, and if I check now, so you can see as of now it is T2 micro, the instance type, and if I refresh, it will make the changes. So you can see it is stopping it because it is making the changes to the instance type. So it will stop it, change the instance type to T2 medium, and then it will start again. Okay, and you can still see here it is still modifying. That means it is under process, and once it is done, it will have the machine up and running. Okay, so let me refresh again and check, and yes, you can see now it is T2 medium, and now it is starting the machine. Okay, so this is how we can use variables, and this is how we can use variables.tf file and terraform.tfvars file. So we have completed this. Next is Terraform output, and how do we use the outputs.tf file. So this is interesting. So like you have seen in some programming languages, we have a return type from a program. Let's say we have a program to add two numbers, and in the return we give back the result of addition. In the same way, we can return something from our Terraform when we create our infrastructure with Terraform. Let us say after creating a virtual machine, we want to return its public IP or its ID. We can do that using outputs. Okay, so here we can create a file called outputs.tf, and there we can mention the outputs we want to get. So here I will say, I will go here and create a file outputs.tf. okay, and then here I will say output and give the name of the output. So let's say I say instance IP. I want to get the IP, so I will say instance IP. Let me clear the terminal. Okay, and then I can give the description and the value. So description I can give, say anything. I can say this is the IP of the AWS instance or IP of the AWS VM created. Okay, and then value, this is where we will give the exact details. So if I go to main.tf, and this is the resource we are creating, so we will say AWS instance, whatever we have written here, we will take that and give it here. Dot, we will take this name that we have given here, my first VM. Okay, then dot, then we will give the actual field that we want to extract. So this is the public IP in this case, so I can say public IP. Okay, and we can have more than one output values as well. Okay, so I can create one more output block, and I can say, let us say instance ID, and here I will say ID of the AWS virtual machine or instance created, and here I will say AWS instance dot my first VM, and dot I will say ID. Okay, So we have given this, and now after creating the resource, its IP will be shown in the output console. Okay, so or whatever outputs we have mentioned here, so it is very much like the returns in programming language. Okay, and let us first run this and check. Let me say Terraform output, or I will first say format, just to make sure everything is correct, and everything is correct. This is not saved. I will save it first. I will have to save it first and then run Terraform format again, and yeah, it has formatted it. I will also use, I'm pressing the up arrow to go to the earlier commands, Terraform validate, making sure everything is fine before I run other commands, and yes, everything is fine. I will say Terraform, let us say plan. Now when I run this command, you can see these are the changes to the output. It is giving us the instance ID and the instance IP. If I go here and check this is the command, this is now running. My first VM, my first Linux VM is now running, and if I see here, so the ID, you can see this is the ID. Okay, this is the ID, and this is what it is showing here, the ID, and the IP is this one, 54.167.204.73, and this is what is getting outputted here. And this is we are getting because we have already created it. Otherwise, when we run Terraform apply, still we will find this these two outputs there. And I can also say Terraform output to just see the output values, and as of now no output found. So we will, if we do a Terraform apply again with the new outputs, we will also see this. Okay, so now we have seen this, and here this is the command that will show us the outputs. So with this we are also able to see how can we put the outputs in the outputs.tf file and get them, and it can be very useful. Suppose you want to you have some child modules where you want to use this instance IP or this instance ID. In that case, you can directly use these variables, instance IP or instance ID or whatever you give here. You can use this and you will get the values. So this is also useful in chaining of the process. Okay, with this we have completed Terraform outputs. Let us now move to Terraform modules, and this is going to be very interesting. Until now we have been creating a very simple project with putting all our files in the project folder directly, but in general in our projects we have different modules. We may have to maintain different infrastructure, maybe some virtual machines or some databases and some other servers. In that case, we can have different modules within our Terraform project, and this is what we are going to see now. So here we use modules to organize our code into reusable folders or modules. So what we are going to do now is, in our project root folder, we are going to create a subfolder called modules. So I am here in my project folder. You can do it manually from your project folder. You can go here and then create another folder inside your project folder, or if you are using an IDE like I am doing, I will go and create a new folder here and call it modules, and we have got the modules folder here. Now step number 2 is, inside the module folder we will create new folders, subfolders as per our need for the modules we want. For example, we can have compute, VPC, databases, servers, whatever we want to create with Terraform, the different infrastructure types, or it can also be based on your scenarios or whatever is your project need. So let me create 2 more folders here. Let me do it manually here. this module folder is created, I will go inside, create a new folder. I will call it as compute, and you can see it also comes here, and I will create VPC here. So we have got these different folders. It is here. Okay, I think VPC got here. I will have to put it inside the modules folder. Yes, so now you can see we have got compute and VPC here, and you can have other folders based on your module. Now we will create a main.tf file inside each module folder so that we can define the resources for that module. So I will go to compute and create a file main.tf. I will go to VPC and create a file main.tf. Okay, now next step is we can also have variables.tf, terraform.tfvars and outputs.tf file also in these modules. So let me go and create, let us say for compute I will create variables.tf and terraform.tfvars and outputs.tf files. Okay, so for this compute module we have created all the files: main.tf, variables.tf, terraform.tfvars and outputs.tf. Okay, now let us see some sample files that we can put in our module. So here you can see this main.tf has the block to create the resource. So for this demo, let me just take the, I will go to the main.tf file of our project. I'm just going to take this resource block from here. I'm going to take this from here and put it inside the main.tf of our compute module. Okay, so I'm having this here, and then let me also copy the variables.tf as well as the outputs.tf file from here. So I can go to, I will go to my main folder and I will get the variables.tf, then I will get the tf terraform.tfvars and outputs.tf file, this and this. I'm going to copy it and put it in my modules compute folder, and I will replace the files. Okay, so you can now see these are the files here. Okay, now so let's say in main.tf I am creating the resource. Okay, my first VM, or let me say my second VM. This is the AMI ID. Instance type is coming from a variable and I'm calling it as my second Linux VM. This variable instance type is coming from the variables, and here we have the instance type T2 micro, which is fine. Okay, and in the outputs we have the IP and the instance ID of this. Let me go and say my AWS instance, my second VM. So this I will have to change in the outputs. I will go and change it here. and I can name it as instance IP2 instance ID2. Okay, so this is all fine. Okay, now in the main.tf file I have not added the details to connect to use the provider AWS, which is still in my main.tf file. So you can see this is still in my main.tf file, and therefore the variables that I have here in the terraform.tfvars files of the main project, this will work from here. So in the terraform.tfvars files of my compute module, I anyways do not need this. So let me keep it empty, because the value of the instance type is anyways coming from here. Okay, I don't even need this in the variables file of my compute module. Okay, let me now run the command terraform format. Make sure all the files are saved. It is fmt and everything looks okay. I will also say terraform validate. Make sure everything is okay, the syntax and structure, everything is fine and everything looks okay. Now we will go to our main.tf file of the project and we have to call the module. Okay, so we have to go to our main.tf file, and then here we will say module. We will create a module block and then call our module. So this is my main.tf file of the project. Okay, and here I will say module, and I can give any name of the module. I can say my EC2 and create a block here, and in the block we have to give the source and the, if you want to share any value of the variable we can do that. So I will say source equals, and here I have to give the location of that particular module folder. So if it is within the project directory, I can directly say dot / and the name of the folder is modules here, and then go to the compute folder. So this is going to be the location, and then if you want to give the variable value directly from here, we can do that, which will override the variable values that you have in the module variables file or terraform.tfvars file. So let us say I will say this is what I will pass. I can say here instance type equals t2 micro, or whatever you want, you can get it from there. Alright, and for now let me keep it as it is. The other things I will keep as it is. Okay, so we have done this, and here in the outputs.tf file of the root folder, that is our project folder, we have to refer the variables from the output.tf files of the modules. So if you see here in the outputs.tf file of our module, we have created these two outputs, and this is what we will refer and get and extract from the child module to the root project. So here we will say, I will go to the outputs.tf file here. So this instance IP, this will come from the module which is my EC2, and we will say, so value we will say is, instead of this we will say module dot my EC2. Now this is whatever you have given in the main file, the main.tf file of the project, whatever name you have given to the module here. Okay, this is what we will use here, module.myec2, and then dot whatever value we have given in the outputs here. So this is instance IP2. This is what I will give here, and the same thing I will do here. Instance id2. Now if you want to keep the earlier values for the outputs that we create using the main.tf file of the project itself, you can keep it there as it is and create new blocks for getting the values out of the output file of the modules. So you can do that as well. And now I will say, let me run terraform validate, make sure all the files are saved. Yeah, some issue here, module not installed, and that is I think because we have not ran terraform init after creating the modules, which is fine. I will just run terraform format to check everything is fine. So make sure that we save all the files. Okay, and run the command again, everything is fine. So now I will say terraform init, and let us see, everything is fine. You can see we have got all this here, we have got .terraform, and here we also have our modules.json is created here. Now we will run terraform validate, that we have already seen, so everything is fine here. And then we will run terraform plan and apply. So let me say terraform plan. So I will expand the terminal, and you can see this is what it will change, and I will say terraform apply and hit enter. So again it will show us all the changes. So you can see all these changes it will do, it is showing us, and I will say yes and hit enter, and it will start creating the resources as per our configuration files. Okay, so if I refresh my AWS account instances, you will see the changes coming up here. So my second Linux VM is coming up here. So this is getting started. Okay, also you can see for the first PM the instance type is getting changed from T2 medium to T2 micro. So again it will also restart my first Linux VM by changing the instance type. So if I refresh it again, let us see what all has, yes, now you can see both of them are now running and everything is done, and one resource is added and one is changed and 0 destroyed. So you can see now we can maintain our project structure like this. We can have modules and we can have different modules and maintain different resources in different modules, maintain their own output files, variables, terraform.tfvars files, and whenever we want to run any particular module, we can go to the main.tf file of our project and we can call the modules from here like this. Okay, so this is how we can use modules, and you can use it for different scenarios, like putting different resources in different folders and modules, or adding different scenarios in different folders. Whatever is your use case, you can use modules like this. Okay, also now you can see here we can also use different instance type for the modules because we have used this as a variable. So using a combination of modules and variables and outputs, we can do all this now in a very easy and efficient way, and we can manage our entire Terraform project in this way. Okay, so we have done modules. Now let us see how do we manage environments using folders. And when we say managing environments using folders, it is very much similar to creating modules for different environments or creating subfolders for different environments and doing the same steps as we have done for modules. So as we have created modules and folders for compute, VPC, etc. based on the resources, in case we have a requirement that we have to keep different environments, let's say dev, QA and production or staging, etc., and we have to use different configurations. Let's say we have to set up our infrastructure on dev environment, on QA environment, on production environment, and the infrastructure may vary. We may have to add some different servers, some different compute systems or databases or EC2 machines. So we can keep different main.tf files for all these different environments, and the simple way is that we will create different folders for different environments, very much similar to what we have done in modules. Okay, this is one way of managing environments. We will create a main.tf file for each folder. We will create a subfolder for each environment like we have done here for compute and VPC. Similarly, we will create a folder called environments under the main project folder. So I will go here to the main project folder and I will create a new folder called environments, and inside this folder I can have folders for dev, QA, etc. Okay, so we can see it has come here, and like we have added different main.tf file for each module, we can do the same here, and we can have main.tf file for each environment folder, and then we can also have variables.tf and terraform.tfvars files the same way we have done earlier. So you can see this is how we can do it, and it is exactly same as we have done for modules. Okay, so this is the main.tf file for our root folder of the project. This is the main.tf file of our dev folder or the dev environment. This is variables.tf file of our dev environment, and then we can navigate to the environment folder that you want to work with, or we can call it within our main.tf file of the root folder and then run all the Terraform commands that we have already seen. Okay, so this is one way of managing environments in the form of modules. The other way of managing environments is using workspaces, and this is going to be very interesting. In Terraform workspaces, in Terraform we can create workspaces. So let us create a new project, and I will create a main.tf file with the provider block. So I will go to this folder, projects folder, and I'm going to create a new folder called Terraform demo2 workspaces. Okay, and this is what I'm going to open in my VS Code. I will say file, open folder, and I will open this folder. Okay, and here I am going to create a main.tf file, or to save some time I will very quickly use the main.tf file of the earlier project. I'm just going to get this main.tf file from here and add it in this project. Okay, and we can also use the variables and the variables file, terraform.tfvars files, outputs file. I am just going to copy this to save some time. Okay, so we have got all this. I think this is not required for now. The state file will get created itself. Okay, so we have got this added. Okay, now we will run terraform init, and I don't need this EC2, and let me just see. We have got the provider block, which is fine. We have got the resource creation block, which is also okay, and I will call it as my new Linux VM, and this instance type is coming from variables, which is T2 micro, and the other variables, that is access key and secret key, are coming from the terraform.tfvars files, so which is all fine. So I think this is all fine. Now I can run the command. I will go to the terminal. I am pressing control plus backtick key on my keyboard to go to the terminal, or you can go from the menu terminal, and I will say terraform init to initialize a working directory of Terraform in this project folder. And yes, looks like everything is fine. I will say Terraform workspace list. So a default workspace is always there, so you may not have realized until now, but for you as well, when you created a Terraform project or you initialized a Terraform project by saying Terraform init, the default workspace is anyways created. So if you say Terraform workspace list, here you can see the default is there and it is already selected. If I say Terraform workspace show, we are on the default workspace. Okay, now we can create new workspaces by running the command terraform workspace new and give the name of the workspace. So I will say terraform workspace new and I will say dev. So you can see it has created and switched to the dev workspace. I will again say terraform workspace new and I will say QA. So you can see it is now created and switched to the QA workspace. And if I now run the command terraform workspace list, we have now these three workspaces: default, dev and QA, and we can create more as per our needs and requirements. Now we can select a particular workspace by saying terraform workspace select. So I will say terraform workspace select and I will select dev and it will switch to the dev workspace. I can also say terraform workspace show and now I am on the dev workspace. Also when I say terraform workspace list, it will show all the workspaces and then highlight the workspace which is the current workspace. Okay, now in the main.tf file we can add the details to create the resources for each workspace. So this is how we will use it. So this is our main.tf file where we have the provider block that we already have it here. So we have got the provider block, and then this is the resources, the default resources. So these are the default resources. I will keep it as it is. We can also use this hash symbol to give the comment. These are the default resources which are not under any workspace or which are under the default workspace. I can also say default workspace resources. Okay, now if you want to create dev specific resources or QA specific resources or whatever environment you want, the environment you have, if you want to create resources specific to that environment, we can use this instructions or code where we are saying count terraform.workspace. So we say terraform.workspace and we check equals dev. So this is a ternary operator which is very much like if else. So we are saying if the workspace is equals dev, and this question mark will check 1 or 0. If it is dev, if you are on the dev workspace, the output will be 1, that means true. Then it will go to the next lines and run all the instructions. If it is 0, that is it is not dev, it will not run anything. So it is a ternary operator that we are using here, and if it is dev, then it will run all the instructions and whatever resource we are creating it will create, otherwise not. And similarly we can have for QA and other workspaces or environments as well. Okay, so I'll just go here to my main.tf file and I will add this code here. So dev specific resources. So here we are saying if it is dev, we will create this. So make sure that this name is what is the environment or what is the workspace name you have given. So this is the workspace name. If it is QA, then this is what it will create. Okay, if you want to add other dev specific settings or other QA specific settings or whatever environment or workspace you are using, you can do that. Now see, here we are using the concept of workspaces to manage environments. You can use it for any other scenario, any other need you have. Okay, so we have done this. Okay, now we have done step number 6. Now we can run the commands, the Terraform command. So I will again open the terminal and say Terraform. I will first say format and make sure everything is formatted. Then I will say Terraform validate, and let us see if everything is fine. I think yeah, it is all fine. We have already seen everything is okay here. Okay, now because we have already ran Terraform init earlier, so it is checking everything is valid. Now we will say Terraform plan. Let me see what is the issue here. Okay, the typo. Terraform plan, and you can see all the changes it will do. It is showing us, and finally I will say Terraform apply. Okay, and I will say yes and enter, and it will start creating the resources. So if I now refresh and check my AWS account, you can see the dev instance is getting created here now. Okay, and this is from the default. This is the default that we had in our main.tf file, and this is the dev. So it will complete the process. Let me again check, and yes, the dev instance is up and running, and it will complete the process of my new Linux VM as well. And yes, everything is fine, and everything is now up and running. So if I see on my Amazon account, everything is up and running here, and here everything is done. So I can also say Terraform show, and it will show me the current state of our resources. So you can see all this is here. So here, if I again show you the main.tf file, so here these are the default resources. So whatever you want to create as default, you can put everything here. Then the workspace specific, in this case we are using workspace for environment, so the environment specific things you can put in this blocks along with this ternary operator, where we can see, we can select the workspace and we can check if this is the workspace, then it will do it. So if you see here, because our workspace selected was dev, it has not created the QA instance. So this QA instance one is not created, dev instance one is created. And again, if I change the environment, change the workspace to QA by using Terraform workspace select QA and then run the Terraform commands, it will do whatever we have given in this block for QA specific resources. Okay, so see, this is another way of managing the environments using workspaces. So we can create environments for different whatever environments we have, we can create workspaces for them and then manage it like this. Otherwise, if you want to do it in the modules way, we can do that as well. So these are the different commands. We can run Terraform workspace help list. We can create new workspace by saying Terraform workspace new, select the workspace, show. We can also delete the workspaces. Okay, and whenever you want, you can run the command Terraform help to see all the command list. Okay, so here after switching to a workspace, after you use the command Terraform workspace select and switch to the workspace, and then if you run the Terraform commands, it will run for that particular configuration which is mentioned in the configuration in the environment in that particular configuration file, as we have seen here. So if we have switched to the dev workspace and this becomes true, and all this configuration will take place when we run the Terraform commands. Okay, so this also helps us to keep a single configuration file. If you see the earlier process when we were using modules, here we maintain different configuration file for every module. In this case, if you want to use different environments, we will be keeping different configuration file, but here we can manage everything in a single configuration file. So you can see what is your requirement, what is your need, what is good for you. You can accordingly use that process or way. Okay, all right. And when we say Terraform destroy, even this will only work for the resources which are mentioned for that particular block of that particular workspace. Okay, so this is how we manage environments using workspaces, and this is very interesting. You can do some more hands-on. Let me know if you face any issues. Let us now go to the last topic, Terraform project structure. So here you can see this is our basic structure. If you see here, this is what we have used here in this particular project where we worked with workspaces. And if I show you the other project that we have created using modules, if I say open folder and I use this project, so here we can see the project structure. We have all these different modules here, and every module has different files. So we can see our basic project structure of our Terraform project. Here in the main.tf file, we will define our provider and the resources, and we can also give the provider details in a separate file called providers.tf. So if you want this particular block, you can have another file called providers.tf and put it there, and everything will work as it is. You don't have to make any other changes. So it may be good if you want to keep the providers separately. Also, if you have multiple providers, it is good to keep them in a separate file. Then variables.tf, we have already seen we can create variables, we can declare all the variables in this file. In outputs.tf, we can define the output values, and these output values we can use to be referenced by other processes, other modules, or external systems. It is like a return value that we can use in other processes as well. Then terraform.tfvars file is the file where we set the actual values for our variables, and we have already seen if we are using a variable, it will first check for the value in terraform.tfvars files. If it does not find the value there, it will fall back to variables.tf file, and then it will get it from there. And also we can give the value of a variable from the command line directly as well using the -var flag. Okay, modules, the modules folder, we can create modules for the different environments or resources or whatever is our need. Let's say we have to maintain different resources for compute, for VPC, for servers, for databases. We can create different modules for them, or if we want to use it for environments, we can do that. In that case, we can name the folder as environments, and then we can create different subfolders for the different environments. Okay, so this is how we will structure our Terraform project, and we have completed this as well. I hope this was very useful. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comment section. I will reply to all your comments, and please share your knowledge with everyone. I will see you soon. Thank you for watching, and never stop learning.